What if I told you that most Canadians are using their TFSA and RRSP completely wrong? And I don't just mean forgetting to contribute, I mean structuring their investments in a way that leaves hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table over their lifetime. See, the TFSA and RRSP are like two tools in your financial toolbox. But the problem? Most people use a hammer when they need a screwdriver. Or worse, they don't know which tool to pick up in the first place. So today, we're breaking down exactly how to grow your TFSA and RRSP strategically in Canada, not just how to contribute to them, but how to optimize, balance, and use them to actually build wealth, minimize taxes, and retire smarter. And if you're serious about taking control of your financial future, make sure you hit the link in the description. I'll include my favorite investing platforms like Wealthsimple and Questrade, both of which make it ridiculously easy to manage your TFSA and RRSP and start investing for as little as $1. Alright, let's dive in. Let's start with a reality check. According to a recent report from Statistics Canada, over 40% of Canadians either don't have a TFSA or haven't contributed to their RRSP in the past 2 years. And the ones who are contributing? Most are sitting in low-yield savings accounts earning less than 1%, while inflation eats away at 3% or more every year. So here's the first truth bomb. Your TFSA or RRSP isn't an investment, it's just a container. What you put inside determines whether you get rich or stay broke. Imagine this. Two people, Emma and Daniel. Both open a TFSA at age 25. Both contribute $6,000 a year. But Emma invests her TFSA in an index fund earning 7% annually, while Daniel keeps his in a high-interest savings account earning 1.5%. By age 55, Emma's TFSA is worth over $567,000, completely tax-free. Daniel's? $247,000. Same contributions. Same account type. Massive difference, all because of what's inside. So before we even talk about strategies, I want to hammer this in: your TFSA and RRSP are not magic. They're vehicles. And you are the driver. Let's keep this part short, but crucial. A TFSA, tax-free savings account, lets you invest after-tax money, and everything inside grows completely tax-free, including withdrawals. So if you make a $10,000 profit inside your TFSA, it's yours to keep. No CRA hands in your pocket. Meanwhile, an RRSP, registered retirement savings plan, is the opposite. You contribute before tax money, get a tax deduction upfront, and pay taxes later when you withdraw in retirement. The key difference? TFSA equals tax-free growth and withdrawals. RRSP equals tax-deferred growth and taxable withdrawals. Now, both sound amazing, and they are, but here's where people get it wrong. Most Canadians think RRSP is for retirement, TFSA is for short-term savings. But that's not always true. Your TFSA can be a long-term growth machine, and your RRSP can be strategically used to reduce taxes today while setting you up for tax efficiency later. So instead of thinking about them as one for savings, one for retirement, start thinking of them as two sides of your wealth-building strategy. Okay, so if you only have limited money to invest, which one should you max out first? This is one of the biggest debates in Canadian personal finance. Here's how to decide strategically, not emotionally. Step 1. Look at your income bracket. If you're making under $60,000 a year, start with your TFSA. Why? Because your RRSP deduction won't give you a massive tax refund at that income level. You'll benefit more from tax-free growth and flexibility. But if you're making over $80,000 a year, your marginal tax rate is much higher, around 30% to 40%. In that case, maxing out your RRSP can reduce your taxable income significantly, and the refund you get can be reinvested, ideally into your TFSA. That's the combo move. Contribute to your RRSP, take the refund, and use it to fund your TFSA. It's like getting a free bonus for saving smart. Step 2. Think about flexibility. RRSPs are designed for retirement, meaning if you withdraw early, you pay taxes plus a withholding penalty. TFSAs? No penalty. No taxes. Total flexibility. So if you want access to your money for big goals like a home down payment, starting a business, or early retirement, prioritize your TFSA. If you're confident you won't touch it until retirement, lean into your RRSP. Let's start with the TFSA, because this is the one most people misuse. A lot of Canadians still think the TFSA is a glorified savings account. But that's like buying a Tesla and never taking it out of your driveway. To grow it strategically, you have to treat your TFSA like a portfolio, not a piggy bank. Here's how. 1. Invest for growth, not comfort. Historically, the Canadian stock market, TSX, has returned about 6 to 7% annually. The S&P 500? Around 9 to 10%. So if you're young and have decades ahead, putting your TFSA into broad market ETFs like VQT, Vanguard All Equity ETF, XEQT, iShares All Equity ETF, or VTI, US Total Market ETF, can give you long-term compounding that turns small contributions into serious wealth. Example: contribute $6,000 a year starting at age 25 with 8% annual returns. By age 55, your TFSA equals $680,000 tax-free. By age 65, $1.47 million tax-free. That's the power of compounding inside a TFSA. 2. Reinvest your dividends. Most ETFs pay dividends every quarter. Reinvest them automatically, don't take them out. Because when you reinvest dividends, you earn returns on your returns. That's compound growth at work. 3. Avoid day trading inside your TFSA. This one's critical. If the CRA thinks you're running a business inside your TFSA, like day trading or flipping stocks frequently, they can tax your profits. So invest, hold, and grow. Don't treat your TFSA like a casino. 4. Don't waste contribution room. Your total lifetime contribution room, as of 2025, is $95,000 if you've been eligible since 2009. And every January 1st, you get an extra $7,000 added. So make it a goal to max it out slowly over time. Even small monthly contributions, say $500, add up faster than you think. Now, the RRSP is a bit more nuanced, because it's not just about growth, it's about timing your taxes. Let's break it down. 1. Use RRSPs for tax arbitrage. The RRSP is essentially a tool for tax deferral. You're moving money from your high tax years, now, to your low tax years, retirement. So, the key strategy is, contribute when your income is high, withdraw when your income is low. If you're earning $100,000 a year and contribute $15,000, you might save around $5,000 to $6,000 in taxes. That's real money, and you can reinvest that refund immediately. This strategy is gold for high-income earners in their 30s to 50s. 2. Invest your RRSP wisely. Just like your TFSA, your RRSP shouldn't be sitting in cash. Use it for long-term investments like index ETFs, X, VGRO, XBAL, dividend-paying stocks, growth mutual funds if you prefer managed options. Because remember, your RRSP grows tax-deferred, meaning all interest, dividends, and capital gains compound without tax drag. 3. Don't over-contribute. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see. The CRA gives you 18% of your previous year's earned income, up to a max, around $31,500 in 2025. If you go over, you'll pay a 1% penalty per month on the excess. Always double-check your RRSP limit on your CRA My account before contributing. 4. Use the Home Buyers Plan and Lifelong Learning Plan strategically. Yes, you can withdraw from your RRSP for certain life goals. Home Buyers Plan, HBP, withdraw up to $35,000 tax-free for a down payment. Lifelong Learning Plan, LLP, withdraw up to $20,000 for education. But here's the key, those are loans to yourself. You must pay them back. If you don't, the amount becomes taxable income. So use them carefully, they're not free withdrawals. Now that you understand how each account works individually, let's talk about how to use them together. Because the real magic isn't just in contributing, it's in balancing them strategically. A lot of Canadians either go all in on TFSA or all in on RRSP, depending on who they listen to. But the truth is, the wealthy use both, they just use them for different purposes. Let's break down the 3 most effective balance strategies, depending on your stage of life and income level. Strategy number 1, the Refund Reinvestor for high-income earners. If you're earning $80,000 plus a year, this one's for you. Here's how it works. Contribute heavily to your RRSP to lower your taxable income. Get a nice tax refund from the government. Take that refund and immediately invest it into your TFSA. This creates a tax loop of wealth. You're saving on taxes now and building tax-free growth later. Let's do the math. You make $90,000 a year and contribute $15,000 to your RRSP. You get roughly $5,000 back in a refund. Invest that $5,000 in your TFSA every year for 25 years at 7% annual growth. Result? You've turned those refunds into nearly $340,000 tax-free. That's the difference between average and strategic investing. This method is one of the biggest reasons high-income Canadians can build wealth faster. They reinvest their refunds instead of spending them. Strategy number 2, the Flex Builder for middle-income earners. If you're making between $50,000 and $75,000, your best move is flexibility. You want to build both accounts, but in a balanced way. Here's the formula. 70% of your savings TFSA, 30% RRSP. Why? Because your tax rate isn't high enough to get massive RRSP benefits, but you still want some tax sheltering for the future. This strategy keeps your money flexible, TFSA, while still letting you reduce your taxable income a bit each year, RRSP. Over time, as your income rises, you can flip that ratio to 30% TFSA, 70% RRSP and start claiming larger refunds. Strategy number 3, the early retiree model. Now, if your dream is to retire early, say, in your 40s or 50s, you need a very specific plan. You'll want most of your early retirement income to come from your TFSA, since it allows tax-free withdrawals at any age. Your RRSP should be treated like a second stage, something you tap later when you've officially retired and your income and taxes drop. Here's how it looks in practice. Age 25 to 40, max TFSA first. Invest aggressively, ETFs, stocks. Age 40 to 50, shift focus to RRSP contributions for tax optimization. Age 50 to 60, live partially from TFSA withdrawals, delay RRSP withdrawals. Age 60 plus, withdraw from RRSP when your income is lower, minimizing taxes. That combination can save you tens of thousands in taxes and keep your government benefits intact, since TFSA withdrawals don't affect things like old age security, OAS. Let's talk about the part most people hate, taxes. But here's the thing, once you understand how taxes actually work with your TFSA and RRSP, you'll start to see the game behind the numbers. The CRA's quiet advantage. When you contribute to your RRSP, the CRA gives you a tax refund. But they're not doing that because they're nice. They're doing it because they know they'll get that money back later, with interest, in the form of your future taxes. Your job is to make sure they get as little of it back as possible. How? By strategically controlling when and how you withdraw. Tax tip number 1, withdraw RRSPs when you're in a lower bracket. This is the golden rule. If you retire with $50,000 of RRSP income and your tax bracket is 20%, that's fine. But if you retire with $100,000 in RRSP income, suddenly 30% plus of it is going to taxes. That's why spreading your wealth between TFSA and RRSP is smart. You can control your income in retirement. Withdraw from TFSA when you don't want to bump up your tax bracket, and from RRSP when you can afford to. Tax tip number 2, don't forget the withholding tax. When you withdraw from your RRSP early, before retirement, the bank automatically withholds 10% if under $5,000, 20% if $5,001 to $15,000, 30% if over $15,000. And you still have to declare that income at tax time. So if you think, I'll just take $10,000 from my RRSP for emergencies, realize you're losing $2,000 right away, plus more in taxes later. Moral of the story, RRSPs are for retirement, not emergencies. Tax tip number 3, TFSA withdrawals don't affect benefits. This one's huge. When you retire and start collecting government benefits like CPP and OAS, any income from your RRSP adds to your taxable income, which can cause OAS clawbacks. But TFSA withdrawals don't count as income. So if you plan properly, you can live tax-free from your TFSA for years without reducing your benefits. That's what the wealthy quietly do. Let's run some real numbers because Graham Stephan loves this part, and it really drives the point home. Example 1, the balanced investor. Age, 25. Contributes $500 per month, $250 to TFSA, $250 to RRSP. Average return, 7% annually. After 30 years, TFSA equals $303,000, tax-free. RRSP equals $303,000, tax-deferred. Now let's say you retire at 55 and start withdrawing. You take $20,000 a year from RRSP, taxed, and $20,000 from TFSA, tax-free. Your effective tax rate? Only around 10 to 12%. Your total income? $40,000 per year. But to the CRA, you're earning just $20,000. That's how you game the system legally. Example 2, the refund reinventor. Age, 30. Income, $90,000. RRSP contribution, $15,000 per year. Refund, $5,000 a year. Refund invested into TFSA at 7% return. After 25 years, RRSP equals $1,000,000,000, tax deferred. TFSA, refund reinvested, equals $340,000, tax free. Even if you pay 25% tax on RRSP withdrawals, you still end up with over $1.1 million net, compared to $750,000 if you had just saved without strategy. That's the kind of difference smart tax planning makes. Section 9, where to invest, the right platforms. Now let's talk about where to actually invest your money. If you're still banking with one of the big 5 and using their premium savings account, you're probably earning less than 1%, and that's basically financial self-sabotage. You need an investment platform that lets you buy ETFs, stocks, and manage your TFSA or RRSP efficiently. Here are some great options for Canadians. 1. Wealthsimple Trade. No commissions on trades. Super easy to use for beginners. You can open both TFSA and RRSP accounts. Plus, they sometimes give cash bonuses for new users. If you want to start investing today, check the link in the description. You can open your account in minutes and start with as little as $1. 2. Questrade. Slightly more advanced, but lower fees for ETF purchases. Great for long-term investors and DIY traders. You can buy US ETFs like VTI, SCHD, or SPY easily. Personally, I use Questrade for my long-term RRSP investments because of the low fees and flexibility. 3. National Bank Direct Brokerage. Also commission-free now. A great option if you prefer a traditional bank platform. Here's the truth. Most Canadians think diversification just means owning a bunch of different stocks. But true diversification means owning the right types of assets in the right accounts. That's right, not all investments belong in both your TFSA and your RRSP. Why? Because of tax efficiency. Let's break this down. 1. Asset location versus asset allocation. You've probably heard of asset allocation. That's how you split your portfolio between stocks, bonds, real estate, etc. But asset location, where you put those investments, matters just as much. Some investments are more tax efficient in a TFSA, others in an RRSP. So, if you hold US dividend ETFs like VTI or SCHD, put them in your RRSP. That way, you avoid the 15% US withholding tax due to the Canada-U.S. tax treaty. But if you're holding Canadian growth stocks like Shopify, TD, or an all-equity ETF like XEQT, your TFSA is perfect. Every dollar of growth is tax-free. This single adjustment could save you thousands per year in taxes over decades. 2. The 3-bucket diversification system. To simplify things, let's build a system you can actually follow, something I call the 3-bucket strategy. Bucket 1, TFSA, growth and flexibility. Use it for high-growth assets, Canadian equity ETFs, growth stocks, maybe even Bitcoin ETFs if you're risk-tolerant. Focus on long-term compounding and flexibility. Remember, this is your accessible wealth, completely tax-free anytime. Bucket 2, RRSP, stability and tax optimization. Use for income-focused assets, US dividend ETFs, bonds, REITs. Think of this as your future pension. The RRSP isn't for speculation, it's for predictable, compounding returns. Bucket 3, non-registered account, overflow and short-term. Once your TFSA and RRSP are maxed out, you can invest here. Focus on tax-efficient assets like Canadian dividend stocks, since dividends are taxed at lower rates. You can use capital gains harvesting here to offset taxable income. By dividing your money into these 3 buckets, you're not just diversified across assets, you're diversified across tax treatment and liquidity. That's how millionaires think. So, let's talk numbers again, because this is where the difference between doing okay and becoming a millionaire happens. If you've ever wondered, how do people actually become TFSA or RRSP millionaires? It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market and smart contributions. Let's walk through a real example. Case study, the 3-account millionaire. Meet Sarah. She's 28, makes $80,000 a year, and saves $1,000 per month. She splits it strategically. $500 into her TFSA. $400 into her RRSP. $100 into a non-registered account. Let's see how this grows by age 60 with a 7% average annual return. TFSA. $750,000, tax-free. RRSP, $600,000, tax-deferred. Non-registered, $150,000, partially taxable. Total, $1.5 million. But here's the trick, when she retires, she starts drawing from her TFSA first, then her RRSP. That allows her to control her taxable income, stay in a low bracket, and stretch her wealth longer. Her effective tax rate? Around 15%. If she'd done it the traditional way, RRSP only, she'd have paid closer to 25% in taxes. That's a $150,000 plus difference over her retirement. Everyone talks about how to contribute to their TFSA and RRSP, but almost no one talks about how to withdraw strategically. If you don't plan your withdrawals properly, you could lose tens of thousands in unnecessary taxes. Here's how to do it right. Phase 1, early retirement, age 55 to 65. This is your tax planning window. You're not collecting CPP or OAS yet, so your taxable income is low. White heavy checkmark withdraw from RRSP slowly, converting it into your TFSA or non-registered accounts. White heavy checkmark withdraw just enough each year to stay in the lowest tax bracket. White heavy checkmark let your TFSA keep compounding tax-free. Example: You withdraw $25,000 per year from RRSP while topping up your TFSA each January with that money. Over 10 years, you've shifted $250,000 from taxable RRSP to tax-free TFSA, completely legally. Phase 2, government pension years, 65-70 plus. Now you're collecting CPP and OAS. That means your taxable income automatically rises. White Heavy Checkmark prioritize TFSA withdrawals now to avoid OAS clawbacks. White Heavy Checkmark keep RRSP withdrawals small and steady to avoid bracket creep. White Heavy Checkmark remember, TFSA withdrawals don't affect your government benefits. This phase is all about income control. By managing how much you draw from each account, you can live comfortably while keeping the CRA's cut as small as possible. Phase 3, estate and legacy planning. If you pass away, your TFSA goes entirely to your beneficiary, tax-free. Your RRSP, however, becomes fully taxable unless it's transferred to a spouse's RRSP or RRAF. So one powerful estate strategy is to gradually deplete your RRSP during your lifetime while letting your TFSA grow. That way, you maximize your estate's tax efficiency and pass on more to your loved ones. Here's something Graham Stephan says often, and it's dead true. You don't get rich by saving money, you get rich by investing it wisely. If you're treating your TFSA or RRSP like a savings account, you're not investing, you're just letting inflation quietly erode your purchasing power. The key mindset shift is this: every dollar you invest is an employee. And your job is to put those employees to work, in the right place, at the right time, with the right strategy. That means automating your contributions, reinvesting your dividends, staying consistent, even when the market drops. Because the truth is, most people fail not because they picked the wrong ETF, but because they quit when the market went down. If you invest $500 per month from age 25 to 65 and earn 7%, you'll end up with over $1.3 million. But if you stop contributing for just 5 years because the market's bad, you'll lose over $150,000 in potential gains. So consistency beats timing every single time. Let's wrap this up by giving you an actionable toolkit you can start using right now. Here's exactly how you can start growing your TFSA and RRSP strategically this week. Step 1. Choose your platforms. White Heavy Checkmark Wealthsimple for easy, beginner-friendly automation. White Heavy Checkmark Questrade for advanced investors wanting low fees and ETF access. Open both TFSA and RRSP accounts, link your bank, and set up automatic deposits. Step 2. Pick your ETFs. If you want simplicity, VQT, 100% equity, global exposure. VGRO, 80% equity, 20% bonds, balanced growth. XEQT, all equity, low-cost Canadian ETF. If you prefer DIY, Canadian stocks, BMO, TD, Shopify. US ETFs, VTI, SCHD, in RRSP only. Bonds or rights, in RRSP for tax deferral. Step 3. Automate and forget. Set it and forget it. $250 to $1,000 a month, automatically invested into your TFSA or RRSP. You'll be amazed how fast it grows once it's automated. Remember, the people who automate win because they remove emotion from the equation. Step 4. Track and rebalance. Once a year, check your portfolio. If one area, like stocks, grows faster than another, like bonds, rebalance to maintain your target mix. Use free tools like Wealthsimple, Passive, or Google Sheets to track your performance. Step 5. Use your refunds wisely. Every time you get an RRSP tax refund, don't spend it. Invest it back into your TFSA or pay down high-interest debt. That's how you build the wealth flywheel that compounds year after year. At the end of the day, growing your TFSA and RRSP strategically isn't just about making more money, it's about buying freedom. Freedom to retire when you want. Freedom to say no to jobs you hate. freedom to spend time with your family without worrying about bills. And it all starts with understanding how to use the system, instead of letting the system use you. Your TFSA and RRSP are the two most powerful tools you have as a Canadian investor. If you use them together, strategically, you can literally buy decades of freedom. So, here's what I want you to do next. Open your investing accounts today, links are in the description. Start small, automate, and let time do the heavy lifting. Because 20 years from now, your future self will look back and say, "Thank God I started when I did." With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.